Hi guys, I am Mama Bear to Many. I am mom to 14 children and I have 12 children that are still at home. Today, I'm going to talk about unschooling. I think sometimes people think that unschooling is actually like unlearning. Sorry, the glare on my glasses is really hard to avoid. So I think a lot of times people think that it's unlearning. It is totally not unlearning, or at least in my circle or my world. Unschooling is more learning through living and adding other things as they're needed. So that means being super involved with your children, being super in tune with the way that they learn, and being super ready to change the pace at a moment's notice. So come along with us today as we talk about all these things. So I think a lot of times we think of school and life as two separate things, but it's really not two separate things. We as individuals are constantly learning. And so we need to just involve that into our lives. We need to constantly be learning with our children as well. So teaching our children the basic things like cooking and cleaning and how to be respectful and character traits, how to love wholeheartedly, how to serve, how to disciple others. All those things are such important aspects to our learning. Sometimes it's hard for me to put unschooling into this box because it's really not a box. It's so broad. It's like everything, right? And I see homeschooling being put into a box of, oh, we do homeschooling from 9 to 12 or 9 to whatever. And that's when the time they sit down and people are at the table, they're working on things and just like doing whatever. Where unschooling is all day, every day is some sort of learning. And it's our jobs as parents to be teachers and parents and to show our children, one, like godly characteristics, and then to show them to the Lord and show them what the Lord would have them do in their lives. That's first and foremost in our family. And then to give them the opportunities to learn in other fashions. So we do this in so many different ways. In the household itself, we have things like games that we're interacting with the kids. It could be something like Yahtzee, where they learn to count and add and subtract and that type of stuff, like in Yahtzee. Or it could be, say, okay, this wasn't planned. This was actually just sitting on the table, taking out a game like this and throwing it on the table, and just letting the kids look at the pictures. They don't even have to play the game. Just looking at the pictures and engaging them. It could be going to the library and just getting tons of books that they're looking at pictures, but then reading aloud to your children, nurturing your children, really engaging with your children, allowing them to just absorb so much because children are just like a sponge, but also recognizing that play is part of education, because what happens is a child needs to play in order to really grasp what they've already learned. You need up times and you need down times, and that's how they learn. And sometimes just allowing them to experience things. The boys, this was it this week or last week? Last week they actually took an old bike apart and they made, I'm sorry, my glasses are really bothering me. And they made like a saw. So the saw, they would pedal the bike and they would actually saw wood. So it's just like allowing them to be creative. I could very easily be like, no, don't do that. But one of the reasons that we moved to this property was because we would have land and give them the opportunity to go out into the woods and chop down trees and just be kids and, roam around and do those types of things. Another thing is like getting out in nature and just allowing them to walk through the woods and fish and hunt and like just be in tune with like what God created outside. There's a thing, I'm sure most of you have probably already heard of it. It's called 1,000 outside hours or 1,000 hours outside, one or something like that. You'll be able to find it if you look out 1,000 outside hours. And I joined it years ago, and I knew that we definitely spent way more than 1,000 hours per year outside. But it does have different ideas throughout different seasons. Sometimes it's like, oh, that sparks your interest. So you might be interested in joining a group like that. So I'm trying to think. I think that what I'm going to do is just review a lot of the things and a lot of different levels of what we did personally this year in our homeschool. Okay, so I need to make this shorter clips because I just made this huge video full of tons of great information and it froze up and deleted. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go over experiences. And so for us, we like to give our children experiences. And one of the greatest experiences is just where we live. And we decided to move to this property that has 36 acres for a bunch of reasons. One, we wanted our children just to be able to go out there and explore, right? Like get in the woods, build forts, like they built log cabins. They've like built things from the trees. They learn how to use all different types of tools. Just like becoming someone in the woods, right? To become a woodsman. They learned how to trap and they're learning how to hunt and all those types of things that woods entails. So just giving them the experiences of living at a place that's so. Yes, you can hold a baby chick. Perfect example, right? Like I can hold a baby chick. We also homestead, so we teach our children from baby chicks and eggs. We hatch out eggs every year so that they can allow them to hatch and see that process of an egg developing and hatching and make it more real life. So it hatches and then later on they learn how to butcher, and from a very early age they learn that that's a normal cycle of life, that in order to eat, like something has to die and we need to like produce that food for ourselves so we know what's inside of it. So yeah, just giving them that opportunity of homesteading I think is awesome. And show you what they're doing. The trough right there has guinea hens in it. Bring it over here. So giving them that opportunity from small to big. Same thing with seeds, like planting seeds in the ground and watering them and allowing them to come to a fruit, and then taking that fruit and being able to process that fruit into a meal or into a canned good or into the freezer. However you're going to preserve that, dehydrating it, however you're going to preserve it, just teaching them how to take something like that and produce so that they could have food for their family, right? Nevaeh, where are you bring it over here. She is chicken girl. She loves chickens. Come here. Coming. Show on here. Show them what is this?
A baby chick.
Is it a baby chick or is it a guinea?
Guinea.
It's a guinea?
Yeah.
What's her name?
It's Karen.
Okay, let go for a minute so I can put her wings in. What's her name?
It's gonna.
What's her name?
It's a
Guinea.
Guinea.
Should we name her?
We should name this one Diamond.
Diamond.
No.
So yes, giving them the hands-on opportunities to be able to grow and raise their own food is just wonderful. Or I think it's wonderful. I think it's a wonderful way to grow up. Is it a wonderful way to grow up?
Yeah.
So you might see that my kids are dirty, and I am not worried about how great they look. What are you saying?
Goodbye.
I mean, even things like this YouTube channel. 1 minute, please. Is an opportunity, and we're also blogging, learning, web development and learning video and all that type of stuff. The kids see me not scared to try new things that I don't or previously haven't known how to do, and knowing that it's okay to try, right? So if you want to do something, what do you do?
I want to take care of the baby chick.
You want to take care of the baby chick?
baby.
So I'm going to be back in a couple minutes because I am going to probably move, and then I'm going to share with you some other experiences not homesteading. Hi guys, we'll see how long this lasts. So now I am outside, I'm on my porch, and they're inside playing with the chickens. So I just wanted to share with you some different places that we experienced this year and kind of go through them so that you can see what I want to say like a normal family can do. So basically, most of these are within 4 hours of our house. We did make one trip this year. We went down to Williamsburg and then back up. So we took the opportunity on the way down there, and then on the way back up for educational opportunities for our children. Okay. That said, a lot of these are not having to go really far. For many years, we did not go very far, but we would rather spend our money on educational opportunities for our children and experiences with our children than, say, takeout. Like, we would rather save our money and go camping as a family than go get pizza every Friday night. So that's just where we decide to put our money. And to me, it makes such a meaningful impact on each of our children that it's so amazing. Like, I don't know, after doing this, I have been homeschooling for 26 years now. And it is just amazing to see from the beginning, I homeschooled book style. And to now, it's like, wow, what was I thinking? My relationships with my children are so much stronger. My like it's just amazing, like, to watch my children grow, and I feel like I'm learning so much more, and my children feel like they're learning so much more, and I'm not fighting with my children to do their schoolwork. Like, they're just learning so much, and they're retaining that information, and I hear them like talking to other kids, and they're telling them all about these experiences and all the things they've learned, and it's just amazing. So these are not in order. So this would go, we homeschool 365 days a year because we feel like you are always learning. So this would go from June of last year until now. So we have gone to the Coast Guard station and we talked to somebody at the Coast Guard station who gave us a boat tour and told us what the Coast Guard station does. We go to the library weekly, and there's different events and things that go on at the library. We went to a place called Bright Nights that's in Massachusetts, and that we actually went to visit family for Christmas, and so we went for like a long weekend to go visit family, and it's a place where they set up all these lights. You probably have one near you. They set up lights, like a bunch of Christmas lights, but that really engaged them in order to have conversations about electricity, and it started almost like a whole like study on electricity. So don't think that like a fun activity is necessarily like meaningless. A lot of times it's not. There's so much to learn in everything that we do. We went to St. Croix Island, which is an island off of the coast of Maine, a very small island off of the coast of Maine, where if you look at the dates, would actually have been settled before being settled in like Plymouth Plantation or Jamestown. So it's just interesting to study those things and to make those comparisons as well. We went to the Bangor Children's Museum. They have lots of information, lots of good, cool things there. We went to the State House. We go to church with one of the senator, and she said, yeah, you should go down there. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll make it an opportunity to do that. She said, yeah, it's open whenever, if you want like a tour for them to tell you all about it and that type of stuff. They do that for free. You just have to let them know ahead of time. So we were on our way back from Massachusetts, and I said, hey, let's stop there. And we did. We stopped there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we got out a lot of information, and it was beautiful, and people were so friendly there. So if you ever get a chance, if you're in Maine, the State House in Augusta is absolutely beautiful and absolutely homeschool friendly. So we also went to the world's biggest globe, which is about an hour from Augusta. And that was really cool. It's 3 floors. You can go up there and it rotates. And you can see all 3 floors. It's really kind of cool. We went to the Bangor Library a couple times, and we went to some of the events that they had at the Bangor Library. We went to a cabin in the woods, which was totally off grid. We went to Jamestown in Virginia, and then on the way down to Virginia, we went to the Statue of Liberty as well as Ellis Island. Both of those were so amazing. It's so weird to like stand at the Statue of Liberty and you're like standing there and you're like, wow, I'm standing at the Statue of Liberty. It's so cool. You think of it like you see it on TV. It's kind of like the representation of freedom for America, right? And so we're like standing there and I'm like, this is so cool. And then we also went to Ellis Island, and I thought it was going to be kind of mundane or boring, but I found it really interesting. And I've wanted to engage more in different immigrants that came through Ellis Island. And so I've been reading different things and then also pulling in some different books and stuff into our homeschool that have to do with that. Really interesting. So Yorktown, we went to in Virginia. We also went to Colonial Williamsburg in Virginia, and we did dancing at a Christian school as well as I think it was called Liberty Hall. I can't remember the name of the hall, but they learned some old-fashioned type dances like the Virginia Reel and something promenade. I don't know. I don't know the names of all the dances, but they had an awful lot of fun and they're always doing them now. They learned so much. Um, on the way back, we went to Liberty Bell and we walked around Philly for a while, which is really cool. Like when you walk through there, all the buildings, even if they're like now apartments or something, they have like things on their window that say what the house used to be or whatever. And there's quite a few free things that you can do down there. I know the printing press was free. We did not go to the printing press. We just didn't have time on our way back. But it was free. On the way down, I didn't mention this, but we also went to Hershey, where they like make the chocolate and did the free Hershey tour. That was really cool. And it was even cooler because we went with our friends. I don't know if you follow their channel. It's Hurting Little Cows for the Glory of God. And they are our friends and they spend part of their year in Maine and then part of their year down south. And we actually worked out so we could meet right in Pennsylvania. So we met right there and did the tour. So that was really cool. It was 2 moms, 2 dads, and more than 20 kids. I think I put it on here. I'm trying to think. I can't count in my head right now. Anyway, check that out. It was over 20 kids. I know that. It was super fun. The kids are like all friends, and it was so fun. We also went to Gettysburg. We went to the Portland Children's Museum, which was cool. Although I think that it was kind of hyped up because I actually find Bangor Children's Museum, even though it's like older type stuff, has more stuff. Okay, I just went black again. That was weird. Apparently, this computer does not want me talking about unschooling. Oh, goodness. Okay. So we went to Portland Children's Museum. We went to Portland Head Lighthouse, which has a beautiful, beautiful park. If you've never been there, it is gorgeous. We only did a part of it. We actually had met those hurting little cow and I to get hard from that. Okay, this is take like 10, and this is actually another day because I did the whole thing yesterday, and yet again, it went black and then it deleted. And then I tried one more time to do it, and then that deleted after about 10 minutes. So we're starting over again, and hopefully I'm just going to try to ramble through these things so you understand what we're doing. Okay, places that we went. I think the last one was Portland Children's Museum. So we also went to Portland Head Lighthouse. We stayed at Bradbury Mountain State Park, and we climbed back Bradbury Mountain, which was really pretty. You could actually see Portland Head off in the distance. It was because it's so high or whatever. So cool. Two Light State Park. We did Spring Point Ledge Lighthouse, Owl's Head Lighthouse. We also went to Mystic, Connecticut, like the seaport area, as well as Mystic Aquarium, which is so awesome. I love that aquarium. They had jellyfish, they had octopus, they had this turtle that they like were rehabilitating, and they had beluga whales. They're so cute. They're really intelligent, actually. They came up to the thing and they kept like rubbing their face against like the glass or whatever. It was really kind of cool. Check out, I think we have videos for all of those things. So those were all fun. We went to Musquamacut Beach really quick, Rockland Breakwater, West Cooley Lighthouse a couple of times. We went to the Zork Zoo, the York Zoo, and that was, to me, very disappointing, actually. We lived in Florida for a while, and we had been to a bunch of, like, Lowry Zoo and really nice zoos. And the York Zoo just didn't cut it for me. And it was a rainy day, and this, like, lion was in this cage somewhere that you couldn't really see it, but you could definitely hear it. It was like, "Rawr, rawr," and everyone was kind of scared to even walk by that area. And I'm just thinking, like, how am I going to get for all the kids out and to safety in time? Okay, so we also went to New Hampshire. I did say that all these things were within like 4 hours, but honestly, I totally forgot that we went to New Hampshire. So we did actually do a lot of traveling this year. After my son had passed away, I think that we kind of refocused on what we wanted to do, and we really wanted to spend last year and into this year really focusing on doing things with our children, because you have to understand our children um, have we never like made it seem this way, but because Bobby was a quadriplegic, there was a lot of things that he couldn't do, and we always did things as a family. So things like going hiking and those types of things we could not do unless like things were handicap accessible. So it's been like a time and a period that we have been doing those types of things. So we went to Flume Gorge, which was beautiful. This is all in New Hampshire in the White Mountains. So we drove the way there. We did the Kangamangas Highway and stopped at a bunch of the stops, and it was so pretty. So we did Flume Gorge. We also did the Cannon Mountain Tram, which is a video for that, and it's just so gorgeous. You're going up, I think it's 4,000 feet or whatever, and you can just see. They said you can see Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont from up there. We went to Orono, which is kind of local, 2 hours. The Orono Boardwalk, which is really cool, and that is handicap accessible. My handicapped son really loved going there. He said that he felt like he could actually be in the middle of the woods. So if you know somebody who is handicap accessible and you are near in the Bangor area, Orono Bog Walk is really nice. Keens Lake, we went. Lafayette Campground was in New Hampshire. The Basin was in New Hampshire. We met some friends in Sorrento, which is so you're actually on the other side of Acadia National Park. And so we sat there and we could see the mountain, which is totally Cadillac Mountain. There we go. Cadillac Mountain from where we were at. It was really beautiful, and it was really special because we were with our friends. So it was really nice. The Rim Trail, like I said, these are random. The Rim Trail was on top of the mountain, on top of Cannon Mountain. And then we also went ziplining and rock wall climbing. Okay, so I did a short clip or shorter sections, and I'm hoping that this will work more efficiently. So we also read through about well over 50 books together as a family. So we encourage the children to learn how to read, and I will kind of approach reading like this. I'll say, hey, I'm available if anyone wants to do their reading today. And we have a curriculum they do. We use Learn to Read through Christian Light Press. And so I'll say, hey, I'm available if you want to do reading today. When it's a good moment for me to do that I can give undivided attention to reading. So then they will say, yes, I want to do reading. Can I do reading? Can I not do reading? Can I go first? Can I do it after I do this? Whatever. So I'm open to whatever they're choosing to actually do that day. And if a child says, I really don't want to read today, I'm okay with that as well. Maybe they want to say, can I read a regular book? We usually get some from the library, and we have some like Learn to Read type books, and I am happy to read that with them as well. We also have Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, and they're allowed to choose if they wanted to do that as well. That's their choice. And I don't force the subject. I did too long of forcing the subject, and I find that my children usually learn to read later, but they also comprehend at a higher level once they do learn to read. Okay, so that's how we approach reading. But we do read out loud, usually quite a few times throughout the day. During nap time, quiet time, we have a period from about 11:30 till about 2 where we are reading out loud or doing something educational. So I might read, me and some of my, especially one of my older daughters, she will read aloud a lot of times. And we will read a few chapters in a chapter book or sections in like Dear America. We'll read like maybe a whole month full of things. Like we'll read for a good, 45 minutes, something like that out loud. And so you go through books really fast like that. We read some books that, like, we went through the whole I Survived series this year. So in something like that, I might read a part. For some children, I might read a part of a chapter and then ask them, can you read this paragraph? And they would read that paragraph out loud. For other children, I might pass the book and be like, hey, can you read this chapter? And then they would read, or this section or whatever, and they would read that. So that's how we start to engage to get them to read aloud, is through our time of doing that. And we all are learning. Most of those books that we read are historical fiction or based on some historical science, biblical background, something where there's something to take away. There's real grip to the story, but that isn't boring. I find a lot of the classics, the kids have a hard time engaging in. So if there is something that I think that they'll enjoy, but maybe if I'm reading it out loud, then they might not engage in it. Like, for instance, Swiss Family Robinson. For me to read that, it was like, it's very detailed. And for one, I have dyslexia, and it's hard for me to literally read that to them. Just there's certain stories, it's like the wording, I just can't do it. But I know that the story was really good, and I knew that they would like it once they started to. Another series that we have been working on and off throughout the years is, I think it's called Gladdy Awards or something like that. There's like Corrie ten Boom, Amy Carmichael. There's a bunch of like missionary type stories, John Newton. So I might get something like those on an audiobook, and then we could listen to that in the vehicle. Another thing that you can do, we have a television in our big living room. So say people are like crocheting or something. I might say, okay, we're going to crochet, or you guys can draw or whatever, and I'm going to put on this right now. Right now I did that with Five Little Peppers. I've read the story before, but I thought I'm working on a lot of sewing projects and a couple of crochet projects. And I said, we can just do that there. My daughter actually is working on something special, and I'm hoping that it can bless our family as well as your family very soon. So more to come on that. So yeah, reading books. We've read over 50. I stopped counting at 50 this year, and good chapter books. And then after during evening time, a lot of times will read like later afternoon and evening time. Maybe maybe I'm making supper. One of my daughters might read some of the books that they got from the library. I intentionally will get books from the library that I want read aloud. Also, maybe after supper, we'll read a little bit or play games. Yeah, so it's kind of how it looks for an unschooling environment. Um, Lots and lots of reading to children, reading with children. It is hot out here. It is, I don't know, let's see. It is almost 7 o'clock and it is still 95 degrees out here. Yes, we're in Maine, zone 4. On the edge of zone 4 or 5. Anyway, so my laptop is totally messing up with so many different things. I just wanted to go through. We talked about reading a little bit. We didn't really talk about math. As far as math goes, we learn a lot of math hands-on. We double and triple recipes. We do construction projects. We learn how to like do all that type of stuff hands-on. We were using Math UC program, but it wasn't like an everyday type of thing. It was kind of like, okay, let's work on this or whatever. If you want to work on this as they got older, then they would work on that. And a lot of times the older kids would want to work on that and they would do that. Now, our children also have the opportunity, if they want to do a curriculum or they want to do something or learn something, we find the opportunity to allow them to learn that. So even though I'm naming like I guess the broader sense of what we do as unschoolers, I'm not like all inclusive because lots of kids want to learn lots of different things at different times in their lives. And we just go with the opportunity that they want to learn that. So as far as math goes, we recently switched over to teaching textbook. I had used teaching textbook years ago and I didn't like it for a couple reasons. The main reason was I had multiple children, so it was pretty expensive. And then I needed to be available a lot with teaching textbooks because they needed questions and you couldn't go, like, it was just quirky, right? It was when there was only CDs in there as well. So you couldn't have multiple students like on the same thing. And then like by the time the next student would be ready to use that teaching textbook, then the upgraded version was available or it wouldn't like mesh with your laptop or whatever. To me, it was just a headache and expensive. And those two do not go well for programs for me. I still do like Math UC. I like that hands-on Math UC approach. A lot of times I take out things like that just as play, and they learn a lot just through play. So I might take the Math UC. They have the blocks, and it's like, so a block is this big, say. Oops, where are we? This big, and it has like 10 different things. Well, the one block, they would see that 10 blocks would equal that. And you can use addition and subtraction like through things like that. And they learn how to do a lot of that just through like table play. So early years, we don't really do a formal math curriculum. We just don't. So a lot of people are not going to need the extent of math that is needed in the basic school system. They may need different math. I mean, they don't teach things like how to balance a checkbook. They don't teach things like credit card management. Or last I knew, they weren't teaching those things in school. They weren't teaching like the US government used to have a gold basis for their dollar bill and they no longer do that. Who is the Fed? They don't talk about all those things in school. They don't talk about those things in basic curriculum. But I think that if you can get one, yes. But those are very important things, in my opinion, to know how to, balance your check, balance your budget, make a budget, all those types of things. They're not taught those types of things, but yet they're taught like algebra 2 and pre-calculus and all those things, where for the majority of people, they're not going to need to know that. If they know basic math equations, then they'll be able to learn those other equations, right? and they can self-teach as needed. So if I had a child who, say, wanted to become an engineer, then I would look for programs that would be designed to go in that way. If I have a young lady who wants to do knows that she wants to be a wife and a mother, which most of my daughters do, I'll make sure that they know how to manage a household budget, and manage a grocery budget, and that type of stuff. So it really just depends on where your child's going, what they're going to need. So we did choose teaching textbooks, and I allow the children to do what they want for teaching textbooks on a daily basis. I cannot even tell you how many takes this has actually taken, and how many times I've been interrupted, and how many times this video has not worked. I literally have done this over 20 times. So this is the conclusion of that. I hope that some of this made sense, but basically it's just going through what works best for you and your family, not just sticking to a said curriculum because that's what you feel is going to make your children more intelligent, but seeing what your child individually needs and focusing on those things, and not being scared to answer all of those 100 questions that are asked of you each and every day. So I hope this video blesses you, and y'all have a great